In the heart of Beijing, within the walls of the Forbidden City, one emperor dared to dream of capturing all human knowledge. This is the story of the most ambitious literary project in Chinese history, a quest to collect, preserve, and organize the entire written heritage of a civilization spanning millennia. The year was 1772. Emperor Qianlong, the sixth emperor of the Qing dynasty, had ruled China for 37 years. But his greatest achievement would not be military conquest or architectural wonder, it would be intellectual. Qianlong was not just a ruler. He was a scholar emperor. He understood that true power lay not only in controlling territory, but in controlling knowledge, preserving it, organizing it, and making it accessible to future generations. The emperor's vision was unprecedented: to gather every significant work of Chinese literature, philosophy, history, and poetry into one comprehensive collection. He called it the complete library of the four treasuries. The four treasuries represented the traditional classification of Chinese literature, a system that had organized knowledge for over 1,000 years. The first treasury was Jing, the classics. These were the foundational texts of Chinese civilization: the Confucian classics, the Book of Changes, the Book of Songs, works that shaped Chinese thought for millennia. The second was Shu, history. Chronicles of dynasties, biographies of emperors, records of wars and peace, the complete story of China's past. The third was Zhu, philosophy and sciences. The thoughts of Confucius, Laozi, and countless other thinkers, alongside works on medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. The fourth was Ji, literature. Poetry that moved hearts, prose that captured the beauty of language, the artistic soul of Chinese culture. In 1772, Emperor Qianlong issued an imperial edict that would mobilize the entire empire. Every province, every major library, every scholar's private collection would be searched for worthy texts. This wasn't just book collecting, this was a military operation conducted with books instead of soldiers. The emperor commanded governors, provincial officials, and local magistrates to scour their territories for rare manuscripts and important works. From the imperial libraries of Beijing to remote Buddhist monasteries in Tibet, from Confucian academies to private collections of wealthy merchants, the search was exhaustive. No corner of the empire was left unexplored. The scope of the project was staggering. Over 3,800 scholars, editors, and copyists were recruited for the task. They faced a challenge unlike any in human history. Imagine trying to organize the entire intellectual output of a civilization that had been writing for over 3,000 years. They had to read every text, evaluate its importance, check its authenticity, and decide whether it deserved inclusion. Many texts were damaged by age, others existed in multiple versions with conflicting content. Some were written in archaic forms of Chinese that required expert translation. Every page demanded careful consideration. The selection process was both scholarly and political. Works had to meet rigorous academic standards, but they also had to pass imperial censorship. The Qing dynasty was founded by the Manchus, who were considered foreigners by many Chinese. Any work that criticized foreign rule or promoted Han Chinese nationalism was either excluded or heavily edited. Thousands of works were rejected, and many more were modified to align with imperial preferences. The complete library would be as much a product of its time as a preservation of the past. Once selected, each work had to be copied by hand. This was not mere transcription, it was an art form. The emperor demanded perfection. Every character had to be written in perfect Kaishu script. The copyists were selected from the finest calligraphers in the empire. A single mistake could mean starting an entire page over. The paper was specially made, the ink carefully prepared. Each page was a work of art, designed to last for centuries. 7 complete copies would be made, a master set for the emperor, and 6 copies distributed to important libraries across the empire. As the volumes multiplied, a sophisticated organizational system emerged. Each of the 4 treasuries was subdivided into detailed categories and subcategories. They created what might be called the world's first comprehensive library science system. Every work was assigned a precise location based on its subject matter, and detailed catalogs were created to help scholars find specific texts. The classics treasury contained 10 subdivisions. History had 15, philosophy had 14, literature had 5. Each subdivision was further broken down, creating a detailed map of Chinese knowledge. After 10 years of intensive work, the project reached completion in 1782. The final count was staggering: 3,461 works contained in 36,381 volumes, comprising nearly 80,000 chapters. To put this in perspective, if you read one volume per day, it would take you over 99 years to complete the entire collection. This was the Wikipedia of the 18th century, but created entirely by hand. The 7 complete copies were distributed strategically. One remained in the Forbidden City, others went to imperial libraries in Chengde, Shenyang, and the Jiangnan region. For the first time, scholars across the empire had access to the same comprehensive collection. What once required traveling to dozens of libraries and private collections could now be found in one place. It revolutionized scholarship. The collection would face its greatest tests in the centuries that followed. The fall of the Qing dynasty, the chaos of warlord period, the Japanese invasion, civil war, each threatened the survival of this irreplaceable heritage. Many of the original copies were lost or damaged. The Hailing Academy copy was destroyed when the Eight-Nation Alliance invaded Beijing in 1900. Others suffered during various conflicts. Today, only a handful of complete or near-complete copies survive. In the 21st century, the complete library of the 4 treasuries has found new life through digital technology. Ancient volumes are being carefully scanned, transcribed, and made available online. What the Qianlong Emperor made accessible to scholars in 7 locations, we can now make accessible to anyone with an internet connection. A farmer in rural China can access the same texts that were once reserved for court scholars. Modern search capabilities allow scholars to find connections and patterns that would have taken lifetimes to discover manually. The ancient dream of organizing all knowledge has taken on new meaning in the digital age. The digital version has sparked a renaissance in Chinese classical studies. Scholars worldwide can now access these texts, leading to new discoveries about Chinese history, philosophy, and literature. From Harvard to Oxford, from Tokyo to Berlin, scholars are mining the complete library for insights into Chinese civilization. Works that were nearly forgotten are being rediscovered and reinterpreted. What exactly did Emperor Qianlong's vision preserve? The collection includes the earliest surviving versions of many classical texts, rare philosophical works that existed nowhere else, and literary masterpieces that might otherwise have been lost. Without the complete library, we would have lost perhaps 30% of pre-18th century Chinese literature. Many works survive today only because they were included in this collection. But the complete library also represents a tremendous loss. The catalog includes summaries of over 6,000 additional works that were considered but not included. Many of these works have since disappeared entirely. The censorship of the Qing period meant that many important works were excluded, particularly those that criticized imperial rule or contained politically sensitive content. We can only imagine what knowledge was lost. The complete library shaped how Chinese civilization understood itself. It defined what was considered important, what was worth preserving, and what constituted the core of Chinese culture. When we talk about traditional Chinese culture today, we're largely talking about the culture as defined by the complete library. It became the canonical version of Chinese civilization. Today, the complete library of the 4 treasuries exists in forms Emperor Qianlong could never have imagined. Digital copies preserved on multiple continents ensure that this knowledge will survive any future catastrophe. Emperor Qianlong's dream was to create a library that would last forever, preserving the wisdom of Chinese civilization for all future generations. In ways he could never have foreseen, that dream has been realized. The complete library of the four treasuries stands as testimony to what humanity can achieve when it commits to preserving knowledge. In an age of digital information, it reminds us that the greatest treasures are not gold or jewels, but the accumulated wisdom of generations.
Thanks for watching.